already know what time it is. Every Tuesday night at 8, another exciting and insightful edition of the MCW Cast. I'm Legacy MCW announcer Larry Legend.
I'm MCW promoter Dan McDevitt.
And I'm Tara. Welcome to the cast. Thank you all for joining us here on this Tuesday night. And of course, thank you all for watching the live video feed on Facebook and YouTube. And of course, if you are listening to your podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Radio Public, and CastBox, thank you for subscribing and checking us out each week.
Yes, and for the very second time ever, we're doing the cast a little different this week. A Zoom with our very special guest known all over the nation, the world, on Tik Tok, Mr. Professor 318, Nick Harrison. Welcome to the MCW Cast.
Guys, I am blessed to be here. Thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Well, I'm really happy to have you on. I just want to jump in here and kind of tell you, I actually first heard about you from my daughter, who's 11 years old, that came to me and said, "Hey, Dad, this guy does wrestling entrances." And she thought it was really cool. And then within like a week or two, I saw a lot of the AEW people kind of retweet your stuff, don't they? And that's what, and I
Yes,
saw it
they
on
do.
Twitter, and I was like, I got to reach. And then I saw how many followers you had, and I'm like, I got to reach out to this guy, and kind of touch base.
Yeah.
And then I saw you did a Lita entrance right around the time that we had her in for a weekend. So pretty neat.
It's
My 11-year-old
It's
son
crazy,
knew who
man.
you
Like,
were
this-
as well, too. So you're definitely reaching quite the wide-ranging demographic.
I'm big with the kids,
Yep.
but it's crazy, man. You know, this has been a wild ride, and just a love of professional wrestling, and like a deep love of professional wrestling, just kind of spawned all of this stuff and creating the wrestling content, and the fact that the ladies and gentlemen themselves enjoy what I do, and they retweet it and they comment on it. It's the cherry on top of an already delicious sundae. So I'm just very thankful and blessed.
How long have you been doing it? Was it just TikTok specifically you just kind of started doing this with on social media?
Yeah, it started out once the pandemic hit back in 2020. I'm a teacher, so I was at home, bored, didn't have anything to do. So I just started making these videos, and eventually it creeped into professional wrestling, and that's when it really started to kind of hit and move, and the followers started to grow and grow. And I just start spreading it across other platforms, and we're where we are today, and I'm just extremely thankful for the opportunities that it has afforded me.
And well, Tara's a school teacher too.
I am. I was going to mention that. Yeah. I teach college now and high school kids, but I know you, I believe, teach, sixth grade? Is that correct? And you teach the younger kids?
Well, I started out in college teaching at Grambling State University, which is where the nickname The Professor came from, and went from there to teaching elementary school, where I taught 4th, 5th, and 6th grade over 7 years. And now I'm the dean of students at a junior high school here in the area.
Oh, okay, great. So you did the opposite of what I did. I did the young kids first and then went to the older kids and adults. So, that's great. I imagine you were quite popular with the kids. I know that has always been my in with them, is to say, hey, does anyone like wrestling? And that's always been that common, when you don't quite know how to reach some kids, a lot of them are into wrestling. And I found that is a way that I can connect. And has that been your experience as well?
Yes, it was crazy. I would go to local wrestling shows and see some of my students there. And once I started doing the social media thing, they were like, wait, you like these guys too? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do like these guys too. And it got even better when they got to get in on it with me for a lot of these entrances, especially the ones that did very, very well and got recognized by these gigantic entities. The kids, their eyes got as big as saucers for a lot of that stuff. So it's just been really cool to be able to connect with the younger generation that way with the content and with the work that I do.
Okay.
I saw one of your videos. I think it was Randy Orton entrance you did. It looked like it was at a local wrestling show. That's what I was going to ask you. Had you gotten involved with like a local independent?
Yes, actually, I've been doing that for a couple of years now, working with a local independent wrestling company here, Bayou Independent Wrestling. I started out as a heel manager and went from managing to commissioner, and that's the role that I play now. But sometimes while I'm at the shows, I get to do a little bit of content. I got chopped in the chest by Tim Storm, which was amazing and very painful all at the same time. And there was the Randy Orton interest. Yeah, that was wild to be chopped in the chest by a former NWA world champion. It's crazy, but that's a dream of mine. So there we are. You get to live your dreams doing this kind of stuff. So it was really cool.
I watched that one, and I recall you said that you were going to take off your signature vest to really feel that chop, correct? I thought, and,
yeah,
it's funny. Yeah, chops are definitely something that you will feel. The guys will pull your shirt up and make sure they leave that handprint on you. So I thought that was funny when I was watching some of your videos. I was like, oh, you really took it. That's good.
Yeah. It's Tim was messing with me before we went out there. He's like, are you sure you want to do this? And I said, yeah, I think it'll be fun. He's like, no, it won't. But okay, if that's what you want to do. And I got tricked into doing it twice. So it was just it was a great experience and also a very horrible experience all at the same time.
Yeah, speaking from the hey Dan, thanks for rejoining us. But speaking from
my computer just shut down. Are you guys there?
Yeah, we're here.
Is that what happened? I just disappear? My computer just shut down. I don't know what happened.
You asked a question and then you signed off, and Nick was happy enough to let us know that he kind of got wrangled into a local promotion, Bayou Professional Wrestling?
Bayou Independent Wrestling, yeah.
Bayou Independent Wrestling, and ended up finding himself on the end of a Tim Storm, former NWA World Champion Tim Storm chopped him as part of
wow.
Yeah.
And I do have that video queued up if we want to add that in, actually, if we want to take a quick look at that.
Yeah, was it an overhand chop, or was it like a karate chop?
It was overhand. It was a nice little overhand chop. Right down on the chest. It was that business. Yeah, it wasn't a night, Larry.
That used to be the way we all kind of got broke in the business. We just the chop drills.
Here we go. Let's watch that. We got to see that in action. A great entrance. I didn't have the chop must have been on a second video, correct?
Yes.
That's what it was. Okay.
So what did you just pop up at the local indie and they had recognized you from TikTok, or did you kind of know them? They reach out to them beforehand?
Well, I worked with that indie.
Gotcha.
I started back in 2007. I started out as a heel manager for Bayou Independent Wrestling. And I got the chance to work with some really good talent. And a few years ago, because they went on hiatus and came back, when they came back, they asked me to be commissioner. And that's what I do now is I'm the commissioner of Bayou Independent Wrestling. So it's fun to do that kind of stuff. And it's, again, it's been a dream of mine ever since I was a kid to work in wrestling in some way, shape, or form. So I love every minute of it.
You said Louisiana, right? Correct?
Yes.
Is that what you said? How close is that to New Orleans?
I live about 5 hours away from New Orleans.
Oh,
I'm
so
at
you're a
the
bit
top
away.
of the coast. New Orleans is down at the bottom.
Yeah, because like Luke Hawks. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He does a lot of movie stuff. He's one of my close friends. He's really like a kid to me. I was helping him when he was 12 or 13, trying to get in. But he's got his school and all down there. That's why I was asking, how close to you? He's got a good bunch of kids and did a lot of good events down there too.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about Luke, and there are a lot of guys here in Louisiana and in East Texas and West Mississippi, South Arkansas, like in this area that I'm in, that do a lot of good work and are just fun to work with on a regular basis. So yeah, we used to have Lance Archer come in quite a bit, and we're working with Cassidy Riley now, if you remember Cassidy. So yeah.
And Lance just did it. Lance just did a show for us up here. He was just up here a couple weeks ago. So he was a real guy, a lot of these, some guys are difficult to work with. Some of the bigger stars, but Lance was a really good guy. It was really, really nice to work with him.
Yeah, he's always fun to bring in, and just a great guy in the locker room he just tells the best stories, and he's just good to be around.
Gotcha. So I guess you're not so much of a heel manager anymore, huh? They're going to cheer you. They're not going to boo you too much.
No, like it's I had a lot of fun doing that, but once things kind of changed up for me, life wise, the guys who run it were like, we want to kind of switch it up a little bit because of the way that you live your life, and I think that it would be a good move, and it was, and I truly appreciate them giving me that avenue to go down, working on both sides of it. I may go heel again one day, but for right now, I'm kind of enjoying the face life.
Right. Absolutely. Larry, you guys still there?
Yep. So you have accumulated 10 million likes. That is crazy. Like what went through your head? Like, what did your family say? Like, were they, were you kind of checking TikTok to see it grow? I mean, you've got almost 1 million followers and 10 million likes. Like, I know my 11-year-old's on TikTok and he got excited when he got 4,000 followers. Like, I can't imagine 10 million likes and 1 million followers.
It's so cool to watch the numbers and see it grow. It was never a part of the plan. Like I said, I got on it on a whim. When I first downloaded TikTok 2 years ago, I deleted it immediately because I thought it was a kids app, and I thought I was going to get put on a watch list because I had it on my phone.
Yeah.
But I was convinced at the beginning of the pandemic to get back on, and saw a lot of the comedy stuff and did a lot of that. But then when I saw that there was wrestling TikTok, I kind of dove headfirst into that, and that has helped my audience grow exponentially. But it was never a part of the plan. I thought 1,000 followers was cool back when I got it because that meant that you could go live. But now I'm creeping up on 1 million, and it blows my mind every time I look at it.
Is that a rule on TikTok? Because I'm really just starting to learn about it. But is that a rule? Like you have to have so many followers to go live?
Yeah, it's if you can't go live on TikTok until you have 1,000 followers. And there's some other thing, like if you want to get paid doing TikTok, there's the creator fund, but you can't do that until you get to 10,000 followers. And then there's other stuff that unlocks once you get more followers and more likes and more views, and start being more consistent with your views on your videos. So it's interesting to know like the business side of it, because it is a lot of fun, but TikTok can be very business oriented if you choose to make it that.
Right. Yeah, we actually just kind of, and you having a lot to do with it. We're opening up and starting an MCW TikTok. Just kind of, like I said, I I heard about it, but sometimes it can get overwhelming too with so many different social media apps. And like you said, I had always thought, well, it was just for kids. And then as you start looking into it more, you realize it's a lot more than that. You hear a lot of different people that go viral, so to speak, no matter what app it is. Was there any particular video or videos that kind of sparked that for you? I know, like, for instance, I was watching the DDP Relentless, and he was talking about, for him, like, with his popularity on social media with DDP, it was like that Arthur Borman video, like the one video he could kind of point to that really like turned things around, and all of a sudden things started exploding. Was there something like that for you?
Yeah, I did a video where I remade the ABCs to this song by Korn called "Coming Undone." That just went viral all over the world. Jonathan Davis, the lead singer of Korn, shared it on his Instagram story, and because of that, all of these different outlets started writing articles about me and how Jonathan Davis shared my video, and that ended up becoming just like the big viral thing. That's part of the reason I ended up getting verified on TikTok, was because of stuff like that and all of the news articles that were written all over the world about that. I had a video where I did Batista's entrance that got shared by Batista himself, that blew up all over Twitter, which helped grow my audience on Twitter. There was the Shawn Michaels entrance where I created his WrestleMania 12 entrance, coming down from the rafters on a zip line in the all white that Shawn retweeted on his stuff. And it's just, videos like that. And there was another video I did of his original entrance coming into my classroom that got like 1 million views in 2 days. It was insane how some of these videos just took off the way that they did. And there's a good number of them that have amassed 3 million, 2 million, 1 million views on TikTok. And some of them have done really well on Twitter too, which has helped a great deal with that following. And then the following on Instagram grew because of some of the stuff that I did, because Bleacher Report was sharing a lot of my content. The Bleacher Report Wrestling was sharing a lot of my content, as well as different wrestling outlets. WWE was sharing my stuff. AEW was sharing my stuff. There's a video that AEW duetted of me doing Adam Cole's entrance, and they did Adam Cole doing his entrance right next to me. That has right at 1 million views on Instagram now, on AEW's Instagram page. So it just, like, a lot of these videos have just taken off in ways that I couldn't even possibly imagine. And it's just crazy. But it all started really with the Korn ABCs.
Gotcha. Was that something you just kind of woke up and all of a sudden like things were going crazy and you were like, what the hell's going on? And then you had to kind of figure out what happened?
There was no sleeping with that. It was crazy. Like I had done right before that video, like the week before, I had done a video of me just listening to Coming Undone in my truck, and that went viral. That ended up on Imager and all these other social media sites. And I couldn't get the song out of my head because I kept checking TikTok and the video kept popping up and I kept hearing the song over and over again. So I'm sitting at work in my classroom and I'm singing the song, and I just start singing the ABCs to it. I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. So I immediately run to the truck, go get my tripod, record the video, record the song right there in the classroom. Jonathan Davis shares it. Loudwire puts me on the cover of their page because he shared it. And then after that happens, Consequences Sound, all of these big outlets all over the world, especially in like Europe and South America, Brazil, all these other places, just really started grasping onto that. And it's, just doing stuff on a whim, man, like hearing a funny song in my head and saying, oh, this is really cool. Let me go and do that. Or watching Seth Rollins do his entrance the night before and thinking, man, that'd be really cool to do that in the classroom and getting the kids involved and doing that. And then he shares it and it just blows up on Twitter. It's fun to see stuff like that happen. And it's really cool. And that's why I'm where I am now.
Yeah.
On here with you guys.
That video is everywhere. It's on YouTube. I saw it. It was on some mommy pages and some mommy groups on Facebook. Like their kids are asking to watch it multiple times a day. It's quite it's a lengthy song. I have it queued up. I want to show just a couple seconds of it so people can really see how you change this. And then I actually want to talk about your singing a little bit after that. So let me pull that up for you. All right. Sorry about that. I have.
Asking mom if you can come to the library. So words, unlike nothing you have heard, we together Mockingbird by Arthur Lennox. Let's ride. We put our head in my pants. Now let's ride. Let's say our apple bad. Hey,
Wow.
So that's just a taste of it, but the full length you can see, of course, on your TikTok. It's on YouTube. It was really catchy, and having taught young kids, I could totally see the appeal of that. Getting kids to just sit down and kind of listen to it, and that I'm sure your kids loved it in your classroom, right?
Yeah, I mean it's. That kind of stuff is, as you know, as a teacher, that kind of stuff, using music and integrating it with education, really catches the kids, and they tend to enjoy it. I can't tell you how many times a parent has come up to me and said, I've taught my child the ABCs to that. That's how I'm teaching my child the ABCs is to your song. It's like a generational changing type thing that. I can't even put it into words what it means to me to hear people say that to me. There's actually a video I still need to do edit that somebody tagged me in of them watching it with their child, and their child like singing along and head banging along with me. It's so cool, and it's crazy that is where this journey has taken me, and I can't be anything but thankful for that.
So I noticed on your TikTok that you've got a lot of songs. You mentioned banging your head. You've got a lot of songs like that. You are a heavy metal fan, I take it?
I enjoy music, a lot of music, but yeah, heavy metal is one of my favorites that I listen to on a regular basis. And I have like Metallica and Dio and just so many different bands that I truly, truly enjoy. And so I'll headbang in the truck, and those videos have taken off and done pretty well too. It's crazy. Metallica just had their anniversary shows out in San Francisco, and they actually requested to use a couple of my videos at their show.
Oh yeah.
So that just like when
that's
when
cool.
you get emails from Metallica and they're like, "Hey, can we use your stuff?"
Yeah, man, go for it. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not gonna say no to Metallica, right?
Word.
No, you don't say no to Metallica,
Exactly.
man.
Exactly.
No.
So let me ask
it's the best.
Have you ever seen Metallica in concert?
No, I was
No?
supposed to go to Louder Than Life in Louisville this past year, and I didn't get a chance to go. I had bought my wristbands and everything because Korn was supposed to be there, Metallica was supposed to be there for 2 nights, and I didn't get a chance to see it. But I do hope to go see Metallica this coming year because I know they're playing a couple of different festivals during the summer and in the fall that I'd like to go to.
I only saw them once. It was at a festival, and they were the last act, and they played for 3.5 hours, like into the middle of the night. And I was blown away. I had previously never given a thought to Metallica, and I'll be completely honest. Like, I've been to at least 250 concerts. Like, that's my thing. I love to go to concerts. But I just I had an opportunity to see Metallica, but I didn't go. And then, like I said, they were headlining a festival, and it was like a multi-day thing. And I was like, all right, I'll check it out. And they blew me away. They really did. So you got good musical taste there. When I was looking through your TikTok, I was like, oh, I like that. I like that too. So that's
music
cool.
is something that I love, man. That's one of my favorite things in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It just takes me to different places, depending on what kind of day I've had. It helps me out a great deal. Music is my therapy. And so different. I love so many different musical genres and tastes. So it's not. I do love heavy metal, but there's so much more music in me that I love. So yeah, I totally understand, man. I get it. I do.
Now, did you ever envision yourself having a singing career? Because you are singing in a lot of these videos too that I saw.
There was a time. I do enjoy to sing. I host karaoke here locally. So that's one of the things that I say that again. I'm sorry.
We love karaoke.
Yes. Karaoke, man, that's my thing. I host karaoke and I go to karaoke all the time. Singing is a big part of my life and what I do. So yeah, I want a lot of the stuff that you see me doing on TikTok. It's all passions of mine. I talk about sports. I talk about music. I talk about professional wrestling a bunch. I talk about education and teaching and being an administrator. I talk about life and relationships, things that I truly love and enjoy, and things that are really prevalent in my life. At the time, about a week or so ago, I did a video about Bridgerton. It's things that you really enjoy and love, and singing is a big part of my life. So that's there are a lot of videos of me singing up on my TikTok, and I love it. I do. And you're right. I have thought about it before. I was supposed to record a whole album of parodies, kind of like the ABC one, that I never did get a chance to do. But there are some that I've done and posted on TikTok. Like I just did one to Twisted Sisters, We're Not Gonna Take It. Saying, I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna. You tell somebody that you're gonna be somewhere. I'm not gonna make it. No, I'm gonna make it. It's something that I really love doing, and yeah. So thank you for the compliment. Appreciate it.
Well, and I see a lot of your fans are saying you should be in a band. You should be. When are you going to do this professionally? So obviously, there's lots of people that share that enthusiasm too, and you're making quite an impression. You had mentioned all the topics that you talk about, and your teacher videos crack me up, I guess, because, I've been there. But one of my favorites was when you did the Warrior entrance, and it was captioned "When Teachers Clock Out on Friday." That is me.
Oh, yeah.
Like I have been there, especially when I taught the little kids. Like when 3:15 came around, it was like, how fast can you run to your car? And I happen to be a big Ultimate Warrior fan. I have a tattoo on my arm, big fan. But that popped to me when I saw that video. I was like, oh, I can relate. And even if you're not a teacher, that's probably everybody everywhere at like 5 o'clock on a Friday. You know what I mean? Or whenever your workday ends.
I love that video. A dead sprint.
Yeah.
Like it's like I wanted to do it as like a WrestleMania Warrior entrance where it just took me a minute to get from the door to the car.
Running through the backstage and everything.
Yeah.
Just arms pumping, going the whole way. It's crazy. And I've actually done that Warrior video like a couple times with the as a teacher clocking out on Friday, somebody who doesn't use public restrooms running from their car to the door once they get home.
And it's real.
Yeah.
It's a real thing, Larry.
Yeah,
like it's a real thing.
They only go in their home. They don't go anywhere other than their home. So
We only play on the home field, Larry. We
yeah,
only play.
indeed.
Another
being,
one.
being
go
a New
ahead, Ed.
Yorker, will break you of that, because once you're in the city and you're swept up in that big, mess of people, it's kind of like, when I gotta go, I gotta go.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely. It's sometimes you just can't wait. But for those of you who do, God bless you, because I know that you're going through it a time or two throughout the week.
Hey, what was the first wrestling video that you did? Do you remember?
Man. It might have been possibly
I know
the Batista. I'd have to go back and look, but because I've done that Batista entrance like twice, and it used to be that I would just do them in my room at home and record it and put it on TikTok, and people would really get into it, because the Batista one is one that I have down pat, with the jumping up in the air with the arms and hitting the leg. It's one of my favorites, and I've done it a bunch. Like, I used to do it a lot when I would play Madden, and I'd score a touchdown, and I just yeah, it's that one, possibly Shawn Michaels, because it used to be that I would just do just like comedy videos set to some of these entrances. If you've never danced around to Sexy Boy by Shawn Michaels, you're not a real fan. We've all done it at one point or another, just doing the Shawn Michael dance and everything. So it just I'd have to go back and look, man, because I can't even remember the first one that I did, and there have been so many. But
I went back. I scrolled all the way to the beginning of I did. I scrolled all the way to the beginning. I saw a lot of comedy ones, but the first wrestling one I found was titled, at least. Maybe some of these ones in your house were wrestling but not titled. Was a Ric Flair one, actually. So, and I know
makes sense.
You have a lot of Ric Flair ones too. I love that Ric Flair is a motivational speaker, teaching with Flair. There were so many of them. And you got the robe and you got the wig. And I love when you're like going through all the different promos and stuff like that, where you have got the timing on the lip syncing down pat. Now, did you have to practice some of these? I know you did Dusty Rhodes Hard Times promo. You did a ton of them. So do you spend a lot of time practicing to make sure that everything matches up?
Yeah, lip sync is a big part of what you do on TikTok when you do these different sounds. And the better the lip sync is, the more popular the video will become. That's one of the things that people have to realize about TikTok. If you're gonna do a lip sync, you got to make sure it's on the money, because if it's not on the money, people are gonna notice it. You're doing a good job when people are like, "Man, you sounded just like him." I was like, "Yeah, that wasn't me. That was the sound." But so I do go over them quite a bit. Some of the wrestling ones I don't have to go over quite as much, because I've probably already said it a bunch of times walking around my house, especially the Ric Flair stuff. God knows how many times I said that stuff while I was walking around the house before it was even a sound on TikTok. So so the lip sync is very important, but for the wrestling ones, it doesn't take much for me it doesn't take much practice, because I've probably been practicing in my house for years before it was even on the app.
Have you been a fan of wrestling all your life, pretty much? Lifelong fan?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much all of us on this call, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
All of us as well. So,
That's
you wonder nowadays when we have a lot of I'm pushing 50, and I wrestled. I got into wrestling when I was 18, started wrestling. That was in the 1990s. So, and we've had hundreds of people through our school. It's weird now. What's different now when we talk, and when a lot of the young kids start, and some of them might be early 20s, and some of them had like just started watching wrestling a couple years ago. I guess it's just so much. But it's like, I'm like, God, man, we were all wrestling fans. Everybody from my era was wrestling fans from when they were like 6 or 7 years old. But I guess maybe that's part of society today with social media and so many things, so many different avenues for distraction. with kids coming up. I noticed a lot of them are like, a lot of the kids we got coming in are like, yeah, I've been, 3 or 4 years, but it's not, I don't see as many of the kids that have been, fans since they were 5, 6, 7 years old, like I guess people from our generation.
Yeah, that's
So,
a good
yeah.
point, Dan. Like, the ruthless aggression kids, like they would
Yeah.
be like adults now, and I don't really like. I don't know. I don't seem like we were from the WWF era, 93, 94, 95, and we lived through
Yeah.
Attitude. But like some of those generations after us, it seems like they caught on as opposed to have grown up on it.
Yeah, like just caught on to it. That's why some of our kids, like, early 20s even, that puts them at like born around 98, 99, 2000. And, you ask them about like the Attitude Era, you know what I mean? And stuff from the early 2000s. And they're like,
They were
no,
just
I never,
born.
I just started watching. Yeah, but yeah, I was, 6, 7 years old, so it just seems like a lot of the kids getting into it are like they found wrestling later on, as opposed to a lot of us that were, 6, 7, 8 years old watching and just watched all our lives.
Yeah, you grow up with it, especially from the era, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Growing up watching, old NWA and Mid-South wrestling and all of that stuff, and being from Louisiana, being from the South, that's what I grew up on was the NWA. So seeing guys like Ric Flair and Sting, Lex Luger, just the Road Warriors, the Four Horsemen, just Nikita Koloff, and just these guys who you just grew up watching, and these larger than life figures, because I was watching that before I was watching the WWE.
Right.
And that just added on to all of it. And then growing up through the changes and the new eras and the new wrestlers and guys who are considered to be legends and Hall of Famers now, but back when I was coming up and growing up and watching them, they were still guys who were like early on in their careers. Seeing a young Triple H, seeing Booker T grow up in the business and become the person that he is now. Shawn Michaels even, who started out in like Mid-South wrestling and became who he is today. It's so cool to see who these guys were and know who they are now, and to have grown up watching all of it. And I think that's what makes the real seasoned wrestling fan connoisseur is somebody who's grown up and watched a lot of these guys who people today, like the young kids today, don't even know who some of these guys are. You're like, you don't know who Magnum TA is? Come on.
I know.
He was amazing, just like that kind of stuff right there. You have a very sophisticated wrestling palette because of what you've seen, what you know, and where you are now, and can look at that and compare it to what you grew up watching, and can really have a discernment as to what is really your style and what you really like. And what you can say, I could do without, but you can still have an appreciation for pretty much everything that you see.
Yeah. And now we weren't privy to Mid-South. Obviously, I learned about it as I got into it because in Maryland where we were at. But we had growing up WWF and NWA. Where I know a lot of places down south, I guess, didn't get WWF. But we had both. But that's where me and my friends would always fight as to what the NWA is real, that WWF stuff is fake. That was always ours. So, but right. I've learned a lot about Mid-South.
Yeah, as a kid, just about the only WWF I had, WWF experience I had for a while was waiting up for Saturday night's main event. That was about all that I had until we could get like the USA Network or something like that. Like we didn't really get a chance to watch a whole bunch of it, but at least we had it in time for when Raw started and moved on to where it is now. But it wasn't. I didn't always get a chance to watch the WWF stuff, so I really grew up on NWA and WCW. Man, TBS 605, the Superstation. That's what we watching, baby. So it's it's cool to see where it was and to see where it is now and how the business has grown. So I'm very fortunate to
Yeah.
have been in the position that I was.
And it's funny you talk about having a palate and for the different wrestling. We were just this past weekend we had a show, and you know it was at a smaller town in Maryland. So we had a lot of our regular crew not on it. So we had the opportunity because we got a pretty successful wrestling training center. We've been really lucky and blessed that I had the opportunity to help start out a lot of people over the years, like Mickey James and Lita, you know, Orlando Jordan and Leo Rush and these guys. So we have a pretty successful school, and we've had a lot of people on deck ready to go. So we were able to start probably about what, Tara, like eight students probably like this past Saturday got their first match.
Yep.
And I pulled a lot of them because I was like their movements and selling in the ring. And I pulled them all in the back after the show, and I was trying to explain to them, like, use a guy, an analogy. And I said, hey, you guys know Chris Candido. And they were like, all looked at me. Now, Chris Candido, I don't know, he maybe not have been popular down south. He obviously was Skip in the WWE, but up here in the Northeast.
Oh, dude,
and when he was
a
with
big ECW fan, I know who Chris Candido is.
So, well,
Love
Chris
it.
Candido, and I like, yeah, and he was just excellent. I mean, you know, he suffered a lot of the unfortunate, you know, demons that a lot of guys, but I knew him, and I ended up wrestling him a couple times, and he was by far the greatest performer I was ever in the ring with. And like all of these kids looked at me and they were like, who's that? Like, not one. And I was like, you guys don't know who Chris Candido is? And all of them were like, no. So I ended up giving them all, like, I said, you guys need to go onto the network and to YouTube, and here's your assignment to pull Chris Candido Smoky Mountain and Chris Candido ECW and watch some of his stuff. But I was just like, man, I can't believe not one of them knows who Chris Candido is. So, but yeah, that's that generational gap. But it's some of the best. Yeah, Candido was awesome.
Candido was
else.
You already know your child is a wrestling superstar, so give them the chance to prove it by stepping into the ring with the most memorable birthday they will ever have. A party at the MCW Arena is a one-of-a-kind experience that gives kids of any age a chance to live their dreams and be a part of the show. Every guest will enjoy the celebration as they make memories that will last a lifetime. So skip the ball pits and trampolines and visit MCWProWrestling.com to sign up for an MCW birthday party today.
Did you have a favorite?
I think it was what was it? Heatwave '98, where he had that match with was it him and Lance Storm and Heatwave '98 for ECW?
Yeah, him and Lance. Was that when they were tag champs and feud? Yeah.
I think that was at, sometime around it. They were just great. I'm sorry, Tara.
Lance was. Go ahead, Tara.
Oh no, I was asking if you had like a favorite, you know, that you that was, you know, when you were a kid watching it and everything. Did you have someone that really, you know, you identified with, or you know, just was who did you want to see every week?
Growing up, my favorite wrestler was the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Just
maybe you got a lot of Ric Flair videos.
Yeah, like just the styling and profiling, and you know the way that he would talk and stuff that he would say, and you know, just look at your fat boy. It's just the best stuff from Rick. You know, as the years have grown, you know, I've gravitated towards Shawn Michaels and some of his work and what he's been able to do, especially with the longevity. You know, so it's just I liked Sting a lot when I was a kid too, of course, with the face paint and the Venice Beach and colorful and you know,
it was one of my favorites
as a kid.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah, as a kid, you see those guys and just shoot, they're just your favorites, man. So but one person that I would point towards is Ric Flair. As far as when I was a kid, who I really like, I would just wait to see, like, is Ric Flair going to be on? And I'd go watch him. So it was just really cool.
That's awesome.
Did Flair ever come through Mid-South as the NWA champion? or no?
I think so. I know that he would run the territories, especially down here, a bunch. So I want to say
But
that he
mainly you knew
did.
him from the
But
NWA.
yeah, I knew him from the NWA, WCW, jumping over to WWF for a while and then coming back. Yeah, that's what I knew him from growing up. You know, just the robes and the pageantry, and I will say, when he did leave, the work that he did with Bobby Heenan and with Kurt Hennig for a
I
while
love
when he
that stuff.
left the NWA. That's some of the
Yeah.
best work that he did in his career, is working with those guys. So yeah, it's all really cool.
Yeah, and you wonder how much of it, once you get into and you realize like the politics in wrestling. I've always wondered, like, was his run there hindered? Could it have been better? You know what I mean? Because you always hear like, Vince wanted him to succeed, but not too much because, he was an NWA guy coming in. So like they always kind of kept their thumb on him. Like I think he did some good stuff, but it could have even probably been better. You wonder how much he was, maybe Vince held him back, like I'm going to let him shine, but not too much.
Yeah, but you saw, when he left and went back, exactly, just the kind of star power that he had and what he was able to do with World Championship Wrestling. It's always been, watching his career and what just going back and forth and how he did in NWA, then going to WWF, then coming back to WCW, and seeing those different phases in his career, and then going back to the WWF at some point, and seeing how that kind of evolution, no pun intended, of his career kind of led him to what it has become now. Just all of those different amalgamations and becoming to, being able to have that longevity in your career. It's just, it's amazing. And it's a testament to the kind of guy that he was in the ring.
Yeah. Hey, you mentioned like 2007, I guess you did some indie managing. So that was obviously way before TikTok. What did you go to like a local school? Did you go to like a local school kind of get into wrestling? Is that kind of what?
Well, so
how'd you end up with that?
The guy who runs BIW is a buddy of mine, Josh Newell, and I was actually working for a local ESPN radio affiliate here in North Louisiana as an on-air talent and producer. And he knew about the love that I had for professional wrestling. He said, "Hey, I want to kind of get you into what we're doing." And I said, "Cool." He said, and he had this idea. He says, "So first show, you're going to be a plant. And one of the wrestlers is going to push you through like 3 rows of chairs." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "But eventually that's going to turn into you becoming a special guest referee for his match against one of his heated rivals. You're going to help him win, and then you're going to become his manager." I said, "Okay, cool." And, we just ran with it from there. And it's some of the most fun I've ever had in my life, just getting to run these people down and just tell them how dumb they are. And just do everything in my power to just be hated. And it got to the point where people were literally trying to break through security to come out of the crowd and attack us. That's kind of where we were at one point. It's funny because the group that I managed back then, and this is like late aughts, was called the Inner Circle.
Oh,
and this
really?
was before MCW had their Inner Circle. So it's really funny how that all turned out.
Hey, I always tell this story to people about this guy. This is back in the mid 1990s, early 1990s. Michael Parker, and he wasn't really bright, and he wasn't really good in the ring, and he was kind of like an outcast at the school. And he came down this must have been like 1992. He comes down to school one night, and this is like pre-text messages and all that, but like a couple of the guys had called around, and they said, "Hey man, Mike Parker, he wants us all to come down tonight. He said he's going to unveil his new gimmick and his new ring name." And we were all kind of like, oh, we can't wait to see this. This guy's horrible. He's a goof. And we get down there and he comes into school and he goes in the bathroom and he's all proud. And he had this like shirt that he had made. And he comes out and gets in the ring and he says, and we said, what is it? And he says, check this out. My name is going to be Stone Cold Michael Parker. And we were all like, that is the dumbest freaking name we've ever heard. And, like all of us. And the guy Axel Rotten, if you remember him, he was an ECW guy. He's the guy who broke me into wrestling. Like Axel. So this is like he was home from like Memphis. Like because he would go down to USWA, him and Ian Rotten, and like we were all there, we're all cracking up and just berating this guy. Like that's the stupidest name. That's never gonna work. What kind of dumb name is Stone Cold Michael Parker? And then anyway, fast forward 8 years, and Steve Austin made millions and millions of dollars on it. It became the hottest name in wrestling. But yeah, so that's funny. You know, I was like, maybe Mike was onto something. He was ahead of his time. So
he's a clairvoyant.
Yeah. We just didn't want to give him the credit. We just didn't want to give him that credit.
Right.
So that's really neat. So I always wonder, and we've had some radio DJs from radio get into wrestling. We've done stuff over the years doing it's interesting. That's why I asked, like, whatever people's path, especially years ago, back before, you know, things in social media was so popular. I remember there was no way to really find out about wrestling schools, probably until like the early 2000s, when kind of the internet and things like that started taking off. I remember in the I was actually driving to the Monster Factory in New Jersey, which was about 2.5 hours from here, because Larry Sharp had the Monster Factory. And then to find out as I was going up there, well, like, hey, wait a minute, he's like, well, how come you're not going to the Baltimore location? I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? It wasn't social media. So then he directed me to, he's like, yeah, Dwayne Gill just opened up a location down in Baltimore. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, now I don't have to drive to New Jersey. You know, it's a lot easier just to go. It's a lot easier to just go, you know, drive 10 minutes to Glen Burnie. But back in those days, you really had to dig around to find independent promotions and everything. So it makes it a lot easier nowadays.
Fortunate. Yeah, it does, to be able to find some stuff, because, you know, it's all over the place. And you can probably find a couple matches on YouTube with me getting my butt kicked by guys like Barrett Brown. And it's funny that from being on the radio, I was able to fall into that kind of stuff. There's a story from before I even got the chance to do that. TNA was doing a house show here in North Louisiana in Monroe. This was back when they had, you know, Team 3D and Samoa Joe and a lot of these guys. And they had a promotion that they were doing with a couple of the local radio stations, my radio station, and there was a rock radio station that a friend of mine worked for. And they were like, we want you guys to come in and be special guest managers for the night. You'll manage one guy and you'll manage the other. And we were just really excited about the whole deal. And I ended up managing Shawn, who was Sheikh Abdul Bashir at the time.
Yeah.
And it was an X Division championship match between him and Homicide, and my buddy was managing Homicide. And I guess they had heard that I had a little experience doing some of that stuff, because Homicide was giving me the opportunity to kind of get some work in during the match and like do some chokes and stuff on the ropes while the referee's back was turned, which was just a great experience. And I ended up slapping my buddy who was standing at ringside with me, and Road Dogg was an agent for TNA at the time. And we get to the back and he stops us. He's like, did you slap him while you guys were standing? I was like, yeah. He said, he told my buddy, like, man, if I were you, I'd have slapped him back. Like, I don't know why he was. So it was just, that was really cool to me, to be able to look back and say, wow, that actually happened. Like, Road Dogg was giving us notes on standing, you know, on the ringside doing manager work. it's just wild to think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you get bit by the wrestling bug. You know how that is. Once you get in there and start doing it, you always hear like Steve Austin tell stories about how one of the reasons he never came back after leaving for so long because it was so hard to come down off that like adrenaline high. And you know, like you end up coming back. He's like, if I end up coming back, I'd end up coming back for, you know, like Shawn Michaels, he came back for one match and it went like 7 years. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, you get bit by that bug. So it's definitely hard to walk away from when you get caught up in it.
Yeah, it's like the mafia.
Yeah.
Every time I get out, they keep pulling me back in.
Oh yeah.
That's
oh,
great.
Yeah.
Very
Well, I have a question. You know, learning about the TikTok and obviously, Nick, you know what your stuff with it. How big of an impact do you think it would be if music was not as integrated into the social network for there to be kind of like a popular song that from the jump, a lot of people are already familiar with? You know, some of those songs like that from Korn or Metallica, if I hear, you know, For Whom the Bell Tolls, you know, that's Nick Gage's theme song. So as soon as I hear that, I'm immediately going to be like, oh, what's this all about? But if the music was not as big of a part of TikTok, do you think that TikTok itself would even be as massive of a social network as it currently is?
Well, you know, I don't know if you guys remember Musically, but you know, TikTok is basically Musically. Like that's what Musically became, is TikTok. So if you didn't have the music as a part of it, then there really wouldn't be a TikTok in the first place. Because a lot of that came from people learning dances to songs and using certain parts of songs to create their content. So, you know, if you didn't have that aspect of it, you really wouldn't have the app that you have today.
Yeah, well, I'm learning.
That's interesting. I didn't.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. And then too with the dancing, like the TikTok dances went viral, you know, and just that ability to have that expression. Everybody kind of looked silly doing it. Like, you know, everybody looked ridiculous. But then like Larry was saying, putting it with a popular song. I saw even you had a new dance challenge video in there, at least one or two of them, Nick, and you know, you were doing the dances and you know, or whatever. And you know, I think it's neat that people are in an age where so much on social media is contrived. And, you know, you have people like the Kardashians who completely own up to, you know, photoshopping and editing everything. So what you see on social media isn't real. And then you have people in their living rooms doing these, you know, little silly dances and stuff like that. And everybody kind of looks equally ridiculous. But, you know, there's that, it's just such a juxtaposition to me that, you know, you have these beautifully crafted images on one hand, and then you have people literally, you know, in their pajamas, no makeup, just, you know, uncoordinated selves doing everything. And it's like, you know, for me, I feel like that's rewarding to see that, you know what, we don't always have to put on an appearance, like just be yourself. And I think that's been kind of like the cool thing to see with TikTok is that it's not the heavily filtered stuff that you see on social media. I mean, although I will say I fell down the rabbit hole over the weekend of TikTok filters where you can apparently make yourself look perfect. So if that, I don't know if any of you have gone down those rabbit holes, but you know, I just think it's really neat how it's able to, you know, bridge this kind of fine line between social media, you know, what's real and what's not real.
One thing that a lot of people on TikTok really love is authenticity, being genuine. You know, there are some who enjoy the fake, but for a large portion, you know, people enjoy authenticity. And that's, I think that's one reason why I've been able to be as, I guess, popular as I have been on the app is because of the authenticity of what I do. You know, I'm genuine. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Well, I have done stuff where I was trying to sell stuff, but that was, you know, things that I really enjoy, like, you know, beard products and that kind of thing. And it gives you an opportunity to kind of share of yourself and things that you love and find people who like the same things that you do, which is why some of the stuff that I do as far as like teacher stuff, and those type of things. You know, you said it yourself. You look at those things and you say, I know all about that because I've experienced that before. You know, people will watch the wrestling content and be like, I love that because that's a wrestler that I enjoy too. And I feel the same way whenever I see it that you do when you see it. And you connect and you find people who have like interests and you say, wow, I didn't know that somebody else enjoyed this the same way that I do. So it just, authenticity is huge.
Mhm.
And it's a big part of at least what I've been able to do on the app.
Yeah, I can see you come across as very authentic. And that, when you said something, it reminded me of one of your other videos that I watched, and it was where you're at church, and it was the Jesus Christ baby entrance. And I wanted to ask, did you do that in front of a congregation, or was that you just filmed it in the church? Because I'm curious to know what, you know, the reaction of churchgoers may have been to that video. I loved it. I watched it. It was.
So I volunteer in my children's church.
Uh-huh.
The kids were getting ready to come in, so sometimes I will hurry up and do videos in that venue before the kids can come in. I recreated Seth Rollins' entrance at the Royal Rumble, the bringing back the Shield entrance, but doing it the way that Seth kind of walks now, and did that in that same. I wasn't on the stage at that point. I was somewhere else, but there have been a bunch of times where I've done videos in there before the kids can get in, and I've done some when the kids have been there. And, you know, they know about all the stuff that I do. And, you know, I'm a wholesome creator. I don't curse. I don't do anything lewd or, you know, just debaucherous on the app. So they're totally fine with it. And it's one of the funniest things to me is when the pandemic was going on, and it's still going on, but when we were finally able to start going back out of the house and doing stuff, once the lockdown started to be lifted, we had a lawn service at church where we were outside of the church, all sitting in our cars or on the lawn in lawn chairs. And it was the first time that my pastors and the people at the church had seen me in person since everything had started. And my pastors are all walking up to me going, hey man, I'm really enjoying those videos that you're doing online. And it was really cool, but it was also halfway awkward where I'm like, oh my God, God is watching me. But I'm like, oh gosh. So it kind of it was just really interesting, I'll say, to have those, to know who was watching. And that they actually enjoyed what was going on, even the wrestling stuff. So it was, it was very interesting.
That's cool. That's great.
I think it's too. It's really refreshing as someone that can. Sometimes, you know, social media can be so toxic and make people want to get off, especially when you get into election years and politics and people being nasty to each other. So it's so nice to come on and see content like that. I mean, that's one of the things that stuck out to me. That's kind of what social media should be for. Just fun and, you know, laughing and not so serious, even though some people, you know, a lot of people use it for that. But to me, it was just refreshing to see you.
100% agree. That's part of what I was doing from the beginning is I just wanted to, we were all stuck in the house. People were getting depressed, they were sad, they were staring at four walls. They didn't know when they were ever going to get to leave again. So if I could do anything to brighten a day, to make someone smile, to make someone laugh, to take their mind off of all of the things that they were going through at that time, it really, you know, brought me some joy to bring others joy. And I would constantly get messages from people saying, you know, they had physical ailments, they had stuff that was going on in their life, they had sick family members, that kind of thing. And just being able to see my videos help them to take their mind off of those things at that time. And it just meant the world to me that I was able to help others in that way.
Right. So like basically during the pandemic, it was you and the Tiger King. You and the Tiger King that keep
Matter of
people
fact,
distracted.
Tara will tell you that she went all the way back to the beginning of my TikTok. My very first video on TikTok was a Tiger King video.
Was it really?
Not
Was it
even
really?
kidding.
I was
It
one of
was
those
the,
people that just fell into that trap. I watched one episode and right around the time, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is the most amazing show I've ever
Hooked.
seen."
We all did.
Just hooked, just yeah.
Hooked.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
didn't start
The
watching
best.
stuff right
Just
away.
the best.
Neither did I,
Yeah.
Tara. Neither did I. But eventually, it was like you had to.
Yeah, it took me a couple of weeks because, when we shut down, I was able to transition to teaching online because I teach online. But my
Yeah.
high school kids, they didn't have internet at home. They didn't have working devices. Like I was making photocopies and driving to their houses and leaving stuff on their doorsteps. I mean, it was crazy. So like I really, that first 3 weeks was really, really tough. And then I by the time I got into watching all the stuff that went viral, I was a month behind everybody else. But by then I like really needed it. Like, and I would look forward to it because that was my off switch because we were working crazy hours. I'm sure you were too. I mean, it was like the day that never ended. It was 10 times worse than a regular school day. And I found that I was looking forward to those things. Like, hey, I'm gonna finish work by 11 o'clock so I can get in bed and I can watch the next episode of Tiger King. So it was helpful. We needed this kind of content, I think. We needed to have a distraction to deal with the things that we didn't understand were happening.
We needed an escape.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
that kind of stuff was an escape to get away from all of it. And I was like you, I kind of came on to the whole Tiger King train a little bit late because I was constantly working during the pandemic. When everything first started, I was hired to work with this group of teachers who were providing enrichment for kids who were the children of people who were working on the front line. So they didn't have to worry about seeing how they were going to get their virtual schooling done because we had our own Zoom room. They didn't have to worry about getting a babysitter or having the kids around their parents or any of their elderly family members because they were high risk. And doing that from 6 in the morning till 5 in the morning to like 5, 6 in the afternoon, and then coming home and making like 10, 15 TikToks was just wiping me out. So it took a while before I just was able to sit down and be like, okay, let me go ahead and watch Tiger King. And after the first episode, it was like, there's no way that this is a real thing that happened. So you just have to keep watching and watch everything unfold. It took me a while to get on it too, but once I did, that was it, buddy. Hooked, completely hooked.
Yeah. Amazing stuff. The only thing more disappointing for me was like when that was over and there wasn't no more was do you remember President Trump's last day in office and his lawyers had a limo? Tara, do you remember that? Tiger King's lawyers had.
He thought he was going to get
for sure he would. Yeah, they thought for sure, and it was like there was like it was like building up on Twitter. Like people had gotten past like the change of the presidency. It was just like, are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? And then, unfortunately, and very disappointing, he didn't. And poor Joe Exotic his lawyers had to return the limo, and he had to accept the fact that he wasn't getting pardoned because it was just amazing the way that he kind of took, he's that symbol in a lot of ways for the pandemic. So many people just kind of got hooked on that show during that time.
Oh yeah.
And now he's trying to get released because he has cancer, apparently.
Colon cancer.
I didn't know that. Does he really?
Yeah. So he was trying to get released so that he could have medical care outside of prison.
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yeah. Which that actually reminds me of something else I wanted to ask you about, Nick. I had read that you have a friend who is battling ALL, Zoe. And you had shared her GoFundMe. How is she doing?
Zoe actually passed away.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not know that. I searched everywhere before I asked, and I couldn't find any information. I was like, oh no. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
with
very
Zoe. I will always love that girl with all my heart. Zoe was one of my biggest supporters. When I was selling the Be Great shirts, she had got one, and she sent me a picture of her wearing it, and I'd become good friends with her mom and dad, and yeah, it really broke my heart when she passed away. But we will always fight for Zoe,
Yeah.
and we will always have love for Zoe, and we'll keep her lifted high because she was a fighter, a warrior, a battler. And I wish I had 10 times the will and strength, or I wish I had a tenth of the will and strength that Zoe had, because it would make me a better man.
I read, I was following along with her updates on her GoFundMe, but then it just kind of stopped last year, and I wasn't sure. We had somebody near and dear to our hearts in MCW. We called him the mayor of MCW. He was the very first student to ever train. His name was the Bruiser. He was our 11-time heavyweight champion. He passed away last year to AML leukemia. So when I was reading her story, I saw a lot of parallels and just what kind of a fighting spirit that she had. So that's very sad that she passed. It's an interesting connection you guys had, and I wanted to ask about that. So again, I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to bring everybody down there on that one. What's that?
Okay. I appreciate you asking, and it's totally fine, because it's a reminder of, having the will to fight.
Yes.
And, no matter the circumstance. And that's a lot of what Zoe taught us and showed us. So I'm forever thankful for her.
Yeah, and Tara, it's not a downer, because some of us believe that no one ever really dies, especially if you keep their legacy alive by bringing them up and talking about the fighters that they were. And even the cast, even the MCW cast that we're on right now, is in honor and in tribute to the Bruiser. So yeah, I mean, it's really a hard pill to swallow that our loved ones are going to move on, but we're always going to keep them alive in our hearts and speak their speech. And there you have it. So it's not a downer at all. And you've enlightened me, because I didn't even know about Zoe and her struggle, and how we could tie that to RJ and his battle, and just getting people to learn and be more empathetic and passionate when they interact with one another and talk about different situations, because it's an inevitability in life that it's gonna go. So
right.
Yeah.
And it's, and it speaks to the fragility of life, and that we all have our limited time here. And, it's important to fill our time with, things that give us hope, things that give us joy, things that make us smile, like the way your videos do, the way music does, the way art does, the way wrestling does. So, it's all very much interconnected with, how we live our lives, and, carry that positivity with us in everything that we do. And you are a very positive person. I can tell that, and I'm sure that your students are thrilled. They're probably going, I got Mr. Harrison. So
Right?
when they get their homeroom assignments, I'm sure that you're the popular teacher. So
that's what I liked to think. So
well, you're gonna give me a lot of points as a dad with my daughter.
Oh yeah.
My daughter's 11, and obviously I've been in wrestling all her life, and over the years had her at shows when she was 3 through 10, and gotten pictures with Ric Flair, and Matt and Jeff Hardy are like two of my closest friends. So she's taken pictures with them, and Lita and Mickey James, and all the time she'd like look at me like, I'd say, here, take your picture with Matt and Jeff Hardy, and like, whatever, Dad. You know what I mean? And just was totally unimpressed. But when she sees this with me interviewing you, she's going to be impressed. You're going to earn me some points as a dad for sure.
The secret's out. This is why you asked me to come on in the first place, so I can impress you.
Right. Here we are over with his daughter.
Anyway, I think it's really cool what you do. Like I said, it's you're refreshing. You're a refreshing part of social media. And I don't know, when you mentioned it, it was my daughter had showed me to you, but my friend Jeff Jones, one of my closest friends, he runs all of social media and like the website for AEW. He's been there from day one, and that's what I saw him sharing. I think it was duetting maybe the Adam Cole, and that's when I was like, wait a minute, that's the guy that Peyton showed me, and that's what kind of made me and then reach out to you and start following along and go, this is really cool. So I think it's interesting what you do.
Just Jeff Jones, man. That's
What's that? Yeah.
My night.
Judge.
Oh my gosh.
Judge. He's from down here. He's from here. Jeff's my closest friend. We've been friends for like 30 years. You know, I met him like my first day in wrestling school, and we've been friends ever since. But yeah, he runs all their. So when you're getting shared, it's probably there's a secret for you, by Judge Jeff Jones, probably the one sharing your stuff in AEW. He's the one that runs all that for him. So
you've made my day. You've made my month. Saying that Judge Jeff Jones is the one sharing my stuff for that's amazing.
You have that distinction now.
Like I said, I'm a huge ECW fan. I think it's sitting right here. Like I grew up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Legacy.
I got the ECW world title sitting back in my room. I have an autographed picture of Bill Alfonso here at the house. Like I love me some ECW. So when you tell me that Jeff Jones is the guy that's sharing my stuff for AEW, yeah, I'm popping right now.
ECW was something special. I was going up there doing matches with Axel. I always tell our young guys that too, because I'll tell them a lot of people compare it. Like you'll see like the Game Changer Wrestling, which is coming up, and they'll compare it. And I always say, no, man, it was so special, and it was so hard, and it's nothing that could be duplicated. Number one, because culturally, I don't think they could. Like, New Jack with the, New Jack was just, off the charts with, and the music and just everything and the violence. And then, the pile driving women, all the stuff that if like ECW was on the scene now, I think they'd be canceled. They would be canceled. People wouldn't able to be handle it. But at the time, it was so innovative and it was so special. And I was lucky through Axel and all, and being able to get in, and I worked matches there for about a year. And I was able to kind of be a part of it in a really small way leading into the time they first started doing pay-per-views. And it was just really, really special. And I always tell people, I'm like, yeah, I know people compare it to like GCW, but it's just not. It was just something really, really different.
Right.
That time it was really cool to be a part of it. It definitely was very much like a rock and roll lifestyle, and very rebellious, and just completely different, but at the same time really cool. And it was cool to be a part of it. So
awesome.
Show your support for the MCW Cast while sporting some great gear by going to teespring.com/stores/MCWcast. You can pick up a full line of official MCW Cast merchandise, from coffee mugs and face coverings to t-shirts and sweatshirts. Visit teespring.com/stores/MCWcast.
Real quick,
very good, I guess. What's that?
Before we let you go, Nick, Dan just mentioned the name of one of the most popular indies that's out there right now, GCW, and us, MCW Pro. We've been around for like 23 years. Being a lifelong fan, are there any other indies that you kind of frequent? Fight TV. I think the cat's out of the bag. MCW Pro is going to be featured on Fight TV within the next upcoming months, and then there's IWTV. Any of the indies, indie darlings that you see popping up on AEW Dark Elevation, and any of the indies that you're into right now?
I do enjoy GCW. I think it's really cool what they've been able to do, especially with some of the talent that they've been able to bring in. I love Hoodfoot. I think is really good. Willow Nightingale is one of my favorites. I love Willow, man.
She's really starting to pop through. She's kind of starting to catch that wave. She's starting to catch that wave of momentum. Yeah, definitely. She's a girl that's popping through.
Shane Taylor.
Shane
Taylor is somebody I really like.
Con and Moses
on TikTok.
I just saw you did the Shane Taylor entrance.
Yeah.
Con and Moses are our kids. Do you know the Soldiers of Savagery?
Yeah.
They're our kids. They're my kids. They're from my school. Yeah, Con and Moses. Now Con is He's doing some stuff with AEW. He moved down to Texas.
Yeah.
He moved down to Texas, and he's doing a lot of stuff with AEW. Moses is still up here with us, but yeah, Con and Moses are both our kids. They're from our school.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome, man. Yeah, I like I said, Barrett Brown is somebody who I worked with before. He's been featured on NJPW Strong. He's actually got a match coming up here in a couple weeks against Minoru Suzuki, which is like his dream opponent. So I'm so happy for Barrett that he's getting the opportunity to do that kind of stuff. And just, I love to try to get to watch and get my hands on just about anybody that I possibly what is his name? Andino? My boy Andino. I love him too. Just some great young talents on the indie scene that I love watching and trying to keep up with their matches and to see them rise through the ranks and see somebody possibly Frankie Thomas is a guy who's been on AEW Dark a couple of times. He's worked with WWE as well. He's somebody who works down here with us in BIW, and Frankie's really awesome.
What's his name? Frankie Thomas.
Frankie Thomas, yeah. He's.
I'll look him up.
Because he actually had a match with Archer on Dark here. I want to say like a year or so ago. And Frankie's like one of those talents who's really starting to kind of be seen and get out there. So there's a couple of young guys who are coming up through the ranks that are doing really well, and I'm really enjoying seeing what how their careers are progressing and growing on the independent scene.
I'm gonna have to get you. I'll get you access code to our Rage TV, our streaming channel. I'd love to get your feedback on some of our stuff, some of our guys coming in. That way you can watch some of our. You can get into our streaming channel. What's that?
I'd love to. 100%. I'd love to.
Yeah, I'd love to get your feedback on some of them. So yeah, that's the neat part about independent wrestling. I've been into independent wrestling for the 90s. It's neat. I don't understand when the people that even still get in today and are like just WWE fans and don't. It's like it said, it's so cool. A lot of the guys that are our students, but it's really neat being able to watch the rise. That to me, that's the cool part of not just wrestling, but independent wrestling, watching them come in and start, and go all the way up. So
what I like to compare it to, if you ever go to like a really nice restaurant, everybody's got a steak. They all have a steak. They all have a pork chop. They all have these different plates that you can get. But if you get the board, I'm talking about, like the board that has all of the different things on it, like the dip, and the meats and the cheeses and a bunch of stuff that you've never really tried before. And you're like, wow, why have I never had this before? This is awesome. And it's got all these different things on it. Like the indies right now are these gigantic like tasting boards before you get to the main course. You see all of these different people who are really honing their craft and, getting better and better with every single match that they have. And then out of nowhere, you end up seeing them on something like an AEW Dark or Elevation. And you're like, wow, I'm so glad that I got a chance to see these people and see what they're doing. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to see what they're doing now before they end up going to do some of these really big things. So I really enjoy checking out some of the independent talent, and a lot of them are on Twitter as well. And I've been able to like connect with them through that because they're fans of the content and I'm a fan of theirs. I've gotten to be cool with who is it? Faye Jackson, who I love dearly, and just so many great talents. Casey Lennox is another one that I really love. I'll get a chance to work with her. She's coming down to BIW in a couple of months.
She's getting all around the place. Casey Lennox. She was just on Long Island. There. Just doing a show up on Long Island the other night. I was watching it on IWTV, and I was like, "Is that Casey Lennox who used to come to all of our shows?" Dan?
Yeah, I was just gonna say she was a 8, 9, 10-year-old girls sitting in the front row of our shows.
Yeah.
And around in Maryland, it's Maryland, we have a commissioned state, so you have to be 18. So it was around that time as she was getting older, she started training. Now, and I didn't have a school at the time, but she wanted to do MCW shows. We're, have always been probably the premier indie, I guess it's safe to say, without patting ourselves on the back, in Maryland, in the Maryland area. She wanted to work, but it was just like a timing issue. And then she moved to Florida. But I actually just talked to her a couple months ago. We were talking on Twitter. But yeah, she grew up as a fan watching it. And as she got to that point of training, she just wasn't. She was right around the like 16, 17 age bracket. So with the state athletic commission, we couldn't put her on shows. But that's what we talk. I'm going to eventually get her up here. I know she wants to come up here because she's a Baltimore girl, and this was the promotion she kind of grew up watching. But yeah, she's doing good for herself.
She really is.
She's getting, and like you said, Larry, she is everywhere, man.
Everywhere now, yeah.
Like, it's crazy. So yeah, it's going to be cool to be able to work with her, because I tweeted it out a couple weeks ago that I was like, I'm excited to get to work with Casey Lynn. She's like, the feeling is mutual. It's just so to get messages like that from people who are actually in the business. And they're like, I want to meet you. And I'm like, no. I want to meet you. So it's crazy to get that kind of stuff. And I just, as a fan and somebody who truly loves professional wrestling, that kind of stuff just warms my heart, man. And I'm just, like I said, I'm blessed and highly favored to be a part, and I'm just very thankful.
Do you see yourself coming to Maryland anytime soon? Because I'm sure that we would love to welcome you into our locker room.
I'd love to, man. I haven't been up that far. Well, actually, I was in Buffalo, which is a little bit past there. But I was in Buffalo in December. But I haven't been to the Maryland area since I was in high school. Wow. So I would love to come back out there and to come see you guys, because I want to get the chance to travel and go to some different independent shows and different independent companies and check out their stuff and just get to meet people and hang out and just have fun. And I would love to.
Cool.
Yeah, and this is for independent wrestling. The one thing, this Northeast is it's a hub that even a lot of indie wrestlers end up trying to move up this way, because you get we're up here, GCW, Jersey. Like it's a lot of really good indies right here in this Maryland, New York, Massachusetts. So you could make a weekend out of it sometimes.
Yeah, like I said, I would absolutely love to, because that's one of the areas I want to try to get out to, the Maryland, Massachusetts, New York, Pennsylvania area, Ohio, get out to Florida. I'm trying to get to Orlando here in the next couple of weeks, just in a lot of these places, and just go to and Dallas. Dallas is a big hub for a lot of independent wrestling. VIP, I want to say, is out there, because that's where JTG is running now for a good bit. So I really want to go out to a lot of these places who are here locally, because I know Mania weekend in Dallas is going to be insane.
Yeah, yeah.
So a lot of these different places I want to try to get to, especially this summer. I won't be off until like June or July, but right. Once I have a little bit of time, I do want to travel and check some of these places out, especially.
Well, let us know. Yeah, let us know. We'd love to have you.
We've got a huge show coming up in May, May 5th, May 16th.
Oh yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, we've got a convention and a show. So we've got the Hardy Boys will be there. We've got a convention during the day, and then we've got our show during the night. So that is shaping up to be our biggest event for May, I'm sure. So
please keep me posted. You said May 15th. Keep me posted.
Yeah.
May 15th. Yeah, it's a Sunday, but it's right near Annapolis. So it's really close to the airport. I mean, like, what, 5 minutes?
I can take Monday off and just travel that day and just come down. Like, I'm all for it, man. Yeah.
That's actually going to be, that's actually going to be our first live stream on Fight. We're going to go live on Fight. on that when we're getting all the paperwork stuff done now. But yeah, so that's going to be a big show for us. And the convention, I mean, there's probably 60. I know, like Sammy Guevara. There's so many different vendors bringing in Sammy Guevara. Tay Conti, Sting's going to be there.
Yeah.
But Matt and Jeff Hardy, they're wrestling OGK. But we also got Mike Bailey and Chris Bay from Impact. They're on the show.
Oh, Chris Bay.
Yeah,
Love
he's on the show. Ninja Mac from GCW is wrestling one of our kids is getting a lot of notoriety. Action Andretti.
Yeah.
Action Andretti's one of our kids. He's getting a lot. He's starting to get a lot of buzz.
Man.
So yeah.
Yeah. You said May 15th, right?
Yep,
May 15th. Yeah.
If you're planning a trip, that's the weekend to come.
Yeah. We'll get you in.
The wheels
You'll
are
get
already turning for this, like for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll get all the TikTok videos you need.
And then
You come
some.
up.
And
Yeah.
I bet we could even arrange a trip to Jimmy's Famous Seafood for dinner. So
Yeah,
we can cross all the things off your list. We can.
Yeah, that's obviously
I
a
was
wrestling
watching
stop.
You guys cast with Matt Hardy, and Matt was talking about Jimmy's Famous, and it's
Yeah, there's
Yep.
a big wrestling.
Yes.
It's a big wrestling hub. It's become and we're really close. We're really close with the owners. We have been for a long time, but it's become like, it's become the hub that, and a lot of the guys like Roman Reigns loves the place. A lot of the guys in the WWE and AEW, they tweet about it. And every time they're in town now, that's, they know that we're connected. So it's like Lance Archer example. Every time someone comes in, it's the first question I usually get is like, hey, what's up with Jimmy's? Or how close is the show to Jimmy's Seafood? And I'm always like, we already got you taken care of. So yeah, if you're a wrestling fan and you come to the Baltimore area, you definitely got to hit Jimmy's Seafood for dinner.
Indeed.
Yep.
So
that's gonna be a part of it right there. Yeah, I'm down, man. I'm all the way.
Yeah,
down.
very good. Well, it has been a pleasure. We kind of went commercial free here.
Yeah,
I know,
we
we're
this
going
episode.
to edit some commercials in. We are going to edit commercials in, but I do want to say we don't just have a show May 5th, 16th. We have one coming up this weekend. This show is airing on Tuesday, March 15th. So we've got a show on Saturday, March 19th in Parkville, Maryland. So you can get your tickets at mcwprowrestling.com or at our local ticket outlet at Hideaway Collectibles and pick up all of your collectible items that you may need because you're going to want to get those things autographed at the convention. So be sure to check that out on our website where you can find all of our latest ticket events.
That's right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this edition of the MCW Cast. Nick, we want to once again thank you for joining us. For MCW co-owner Danny McDevitt, the heart of MCW, Tara, and myself, Larry Legend, we'll see you all here next Tuesday at 8 for another edition of the MCW Cast.
You made me